let's begin with the blessing side. I come from 5 generations of believers on both sides of the family. And I thank God for that spiritual inheritance. I feel it really every day. I feel there's a spiritual authority which comes down as a result of that. But I've had to make my choice to stay within it. I could have gone off, but I had to make my choice, say, yes, I want to walk in this. So I've experienced the blessings, and Scripture talks about the blessings go to 1,000 generations of those who love me. It also says the sins of the fathers are visited on the children until the 3rd and the 4th generation. And people don't like that. But this pastor I was praying for last week, who needed deliverance from Freemasonry. It was his grandfather who was the Freemason. And the generational cursing that comes down the generation line. And you see, if this water represents blessing, and I pour that, the next generation receives the blessing. But if there's something in that water that's poisonous, and you pour the water from the one generation to the other, does the poison go with the water? It's part of it, isn't it? So that God has created us so that we can receive spiritual blessing down the generation line. And Satan takes advantage of that and says, okay, well, if God's created man so that blessings can go, I'm going to put something in so that it won't be blessing, but it will be cursing. And this is what Lamentations 5:7 is saying. My ancestors have gone, and I'm suffering because of what they have done. And in the last program, I told you about a lady who had been unable to conceive a child for 11 years. But when I delivered her of the curses that come through witchcraft from her grandmother, she was pregnant within 10 days. See, and a lady who was crippled with arthritis, and she was heartbroken because she loved dancing and to worship the Lord in dance. But as the arthritis came on, she wasn't able to do it any longer. And I said to her, how long have you been like this? And she told me a certain number of years. And I said, well, was anybody else in your family like this? She said, oh yes, my mother had arthritis as well. I said, when did your mother die? And it's the same number of years. And it's as if they've gone from one to, and she was suffering. And within 10 minutes, she was up the front dancing because God has set her free. But there's 2 things here which are critical. In Luke 13, Jesus is praying for the woman whose spine was bent double. And he said to her, this woman has been bound for 18 years. Now, you need to think about that, because that means that 19 years ago she was free. What happened 18 years ago? We don't know. But what we do know, that something did happen, which meant that the enemy came in. And Jesus delivered her, but then he did something else. He laid his hands upon her and he healed her. So it was a 2-stage process. The first stage was deliverance. The second stage was the healing. And an 18-year-old young woman, she stood in our healing service, and she said this, that I've got a diagnosis from the doctors. Both kidneys have got a problem, and unless I have a double kidney transplant, they said my life expectancy is less than 12 months. And I'm filled with compassion for this 18-year-old girl. But I'm not just listening to her, I'm trying to listen to God, and God's saying, ask her about her mother. And she said, I've no idea who my mother is. She said, my mother fell pregnant, no idea who my father was, and I was given away for adoption. And I simply said to her, have you ever thought to forgive your natural parents for their sexual sin? And she laughed, she said, no, never thought about that. But she did, she forgave them. And then I prayed for deliverance for her, for whatever had come down the generation lines of both those father and mother. We've no idea what they were. But what I do know is that 20 minutes later, the pain in her kidneys are gone. And I have a letter in my file back home from the consultant saying that we've redone all the tests, we can no longer find any further problems, go and live a normal life and forget what we said last time. See, she is, now, when I tell these stories, people sometimes think, oh, is that me? Is that me? And every situation is unique. And this is one of the things about praying for people, is that you can't pray for the next person on the back of what happened with the last person, because the next person, their story is different. And it's hearing from God for them, so that when you get involved in praying for healing and praying for deliverance, it's not just a question of exercising the authority which Jesus gave to his disciples. It's a question of hearing from God what to pray about.
Alpha